Hello everyone, this is Tim, and this is going to be another At My Table video. This is going to be me talking about my preferences at the table, not necessarily what you should do. So, at my table, if you are hogging the spotlight, I will probably tell you about it. The thing about role-playing games is it is a group activity. So, if you are hogging all the time and making everyone else sit there, that's not cool. You are putting yourself first and letting everyone else just sort of pick up the scraps after you're done. I don't like this at all. It bothers me. In fact, it bothers me so much that if I see this in a game, I'll tell the players that are sort of letting that dominant personality, take the lead. I'll tell them to do things like, hey, what is your character doing? Oh, yeah, I know. I got what you said. I know. You already told me like 3 times. Let's talk to you. What is your character doing? I make sure I spread the focus around. If there are any more shy people at the table that maybe aren't as dominant and need a little bit of a helping hand, I make sure that I throw them a bone. If someone's taking up like the whole night to do his, stuff about his character, which is fine to a point. But if you're doing that to the point of the other players not being able to do what they want to do with their character, then you're ruining their fun, and it bothers me. I'll pull people aside that do this all the time. I have no problem with dominant personalities as long as you are able to shelve it for a time. As long as you are able to understand that this is a group activity and that you don't need to steamroll over everybody else to get your fun. That bothers me. It's selfish. It breaks down the group dynamics. Those things that you really strive hard to make sure are in place. You want to have everybody in the group talking to one another, getting along as best as possible, so that you can have fun, that you can get somewhere, that the campaign moves along and doesn't stop and doesn't stagnate. So as a GM, I look at myself and think, I really need to have this person shut up for a little while, and I need to motivate these other players, perhaps less dominant personalities, to tell me what they're doing, to get involved. And I find that when I do this, that those quiet players eventually come out of their shell to some degree. They're not going to become extroverts overnight, but they're more comfortable. They don't feel like their ideas are going to get shouted down or squashed. I find that a lot of these people that like to hog the spotlight tend to be loud. They tend to sit next to the GM so that they can get all the attention. If that's the case, if you have a dominant person that doesn't understand that everyone needs a turn, I would change the seating arrangements. Maybe some of the quieter players, have them sit next to the GM. Because that guy that's loud, you can hear him everywhere. In fact, your significant other can probably hear him. The neighbors can probably hear him if you live in an apartment building, etc. These are the kind of players that you ask a couple times, can he quiet down a little bit? I don't want my wife to, cut my balls off and hang him to the wall. So, spotlight hogs. Have you guys ever dealt with them? I know I have. And you really need to maybe not like make fun of them at the table, like I said, like that's not cool. But pull them aside and tell them, hey man, you need to share the spotlight. You need to understand that you're just one player out of 5 or out of 6, and everybody needs a turn. So you need to just shut up every once in a while and listen to what else is going on at the table. And some people take that well, other people don't. They leave, which is fine. That's a problem thing that you need to work around. You need to basically just squash it as fast as you can, with as much tact as you can, because probably this person is a friend of yours, so you want them to still be a friend after this. But some people get heated about this sort of thing. So at my table, you need to share the spotlight. You need to understand that it's a game and you're going to have your turn, and then you need to shut the hell up and let somebody else talk. And don't shout them down when it's their turn. That's the one thing that drives me absolutely fucking crazy, is interrupting. When someone is right in the middle of something, they're trying to maybe ask a question or they're trying to say something in character, and someone will just interrupt them. That's not cool. Let everyone have the floor. Let everyone have the microphone. Let them have their turn to say what they're going to say. Let them have a turn to role play their character. And as a GM, I'm always trying to motivate role playing. If someone is saying, well, I roll this, or I roll this stat, or I roll this skill, I'm going to say, okay, that's fine. We can do that if you want. But what does your character say? How do you go about doing that? If it's an action, please describe that action. And sometimes I'll give a lot more player narrative, like, well, okay, describe that alleyway that you're sneaking down. And sometimes that kind of throws people for a loop, but once people play like that for a little while, they tend to like it. Gives them a little bit more creative input into the game, which is nice. So share the spotlight. Don't be a selfish prick, and just try to get along for the most part. I mean, it's a role-playing group, so there's some group dynamics in there you need to understand. And if you find yourself as a GM who has one of these players that hogs the spotlight all the time, you need to talk to them, and you need to be you need to have some balls sometimes to say, hey, you just got done talking. I understand, but you need to shut up and let this guy talk. And that's pretty much it. So I'll talk to you guys later.